At just 18 years of age, Ethan Nwaneri has already written himself into Premier League history. A product of Arsenal's esteemed academy, Nwaneri made headlines when he became the youngest player ever to appear in the Premier League. But this isn't just about a record, it's about potential, positioning and promise. In this video we take a deep dive into his journey from Haarlem to the Emirates, his unique playing style and how he could shape the future of both Arsenal and the England national team. Nwaneri joined Arsenal's youth system at just 9 years of age and quickly stood out amongst his peers. Coaches noted his composure, technical ability and decision making from an early age, all trademarks of a player destined for the top. Even from an early age, he was already influencing games in ways players 2 or 3 years older struggled to do. There was a calmness to his play, a natural understanding of tempo, pressure, and decision making. As he moved through the age groups, Nwaneri consistently played above his level. By the age of 14, he was regularly involved with the under-18 squad, facing players who were not only older, but physically more developed. Yet, Nwaneri didn't just survive, he thrived. His performances became so polished that by the time he was 15, whispers around the club suggested he was on Arteta's radar. In early 2022, those whispers turned into headlines. After impressing in youth training sessions and intra-squad games, he began training with the senior side, an enormous step for a teenager not even old enough to legally drive. Then, on September the 18th, 2022, the football world stood still for a moment. With Arsenal comfortably leading 3-0 away at Brentford, Mikel Arteta made a decision that would etch Ethan's name into Premier League history. In the 91st minute, Nwaneri replaced Fabio Vieira, becoming the youngest player ever to appear in the competition at just 15 years and 181 days. The reaction was electric, not just from fans, but from the footballing world. It wasn't just about breaking a record. It was a declaration of trust from Arteta and a signal of where Arsenal believe the future lies. For Nwaneri, it was the beginning of something far greater than a debut. It was proof that dreams born at Haarlem can become reality under the right conditions. Ethan Nwaneri's game is built on balance, awareness and creativity. At first glance, his slim frame and smooth movement might mislead you into thinking he's simply a dribbler, but I promise you he's much more than that. His elite ball retention in tight areas is driven by his technique. Whether he's under pressure or breaking into the final third, his ability to control the ball with minimal touches and change direction quickly makes him a nightmare for defenders. So what separates him from most academy players is not just how well he dribbles, of course, otherwise we'd have a loads of these guys, but when he chooses to actually do it. There's always intent. His decision making is top notch. His spatial intelligence is arguably his strongest asset. Nwaneri constantly scans before receiving the ball, often positioning himself in pockets between the lines, particularly in the left or central half space. He knows how to turn in one motion, receive on the back foot, or quickly shift into progressive action. These are habits of players who operate at an elite level. He isn't just executing moves, he's anticipating 2 steps ahead. In academy matches, his teammates regularly feed him in transition phases because they trust him to carry the ball forward and unlock defenses. We are now starting to see that more and more with the first team. But he's not just all about the flair. Nwaneri is direct when needed. He doesn't overcomplicate, his passes break lines, his dribbles carry purpose. Whether it's threading a through ball between defenders, finding an overlapping fullback, or quickly recycling possession to change the angle of attack, he executes with maturity. He also shows signs of high football IQ defensively. In pressing systems, he cuts off passing lanes instead of blindly rushing the ball. These off-ball movements mirror the positional demands Arteta places on players like Odegaard or Trossard, indicating that Ethan is learning very, very fast. To really understand where Nwaneri would fit in at Arsenal, we need to first understand Mikel Arteta's tactical structure. Arsenal operate with a positional play philosophy. commonly in a 4-3-3 with a dynamic midfield rotations, or in a more controlled 4-2-3-1 when protecting leads. Nwaneri, by default, would probably fit into that right-sided central midfield position where Martin Odegaard obviously operates, often referred to as the number 8. It's a hybrid role that demands high IQ, creative passing, defensive awareness, and a knack for third-man runs. Now, at times watching Arsenal, it does feel like they do often struggle to find unpredictability in the final third. Ethan's creativity and quick thinking could add that spark that they do need in the attack, especially without the natural number 9. His fluidity could allow Arsenal to shift to a 3-2-5 in possession, and Nwaneri would be stepping up as a free 10 behind the striker, creating overloads and offering a consistent outlet for the fullbacks Lewis Skelly or Timber, making underlapping runs. Another potential fit is as a rotational option for Bukayo Saka. Given Saka's relentless schedule and lack of rest, and we know, of course, the injury that he's had this season, Arsenal need depth on the right wing. Nwaneri, although left-footed, has the balance and ball-carrying ability to drift inside effectively. In internal training sessions, Arteta has reportedly tested him out wide, focusing on his 1v1s, inverted runs, and tracking fullbacks defensively. The key thing here for someone like Nwaneri is his versatility. He's not bound by a single role, and that aligns perfectly with Arteta's tactical demands. As you guys can see, of course, with the heat map on the screen, now you can see he's operating in those right wing / right attacking midfield areas anyway. So he is someone who can play in those pockets of spaces, in those areas. If, for example, Bukayo Saka does need more of a rest, I think he's comfortable enough to play in that position. The sky really is the limit for Ethan Nwaneri. With Arteta's belief in youth and Arsenal's commitment to long-term development, he's in the perfect environment to thrive. Over the next 1 or 2 seasons, expect him to earn more substitute appearances and starts, and potentially feature more in the Premier League as a main starter. With the right guidance, he could be Arsenal's creative heartbeat within the next 3 to 5 years. Internationally, Nwaneri is already on England's radar. He's featured for the under-16s, 17s, 19s and under-21. Given England's growing depth in midfield and attacking talent, competition is fierce, but Nwaneri's uniqueness makes him a standout. From a branding and marketing standpoint, Nwaneri represents a new generation of English footballers, humble, technically gifted and versatile. Whether he becomes Arsenal's new number 10, a modern right winger, or a deep line playmaker, the tools are all there. What's more, his off-pitch attitude, disciplined, quiet, hardworking, suggests he's ready to handle the weight of expectation. The only question is how quickly Arsenal will unleash him on the biggest stages. Nwaneri is more than a teenage prodigy. He's the blueprint for Arsenal's next generation. Whether he's gliding through midfield, drifting into wide areas, or unlocking defences with a single touch, Nwaneri is on the path to becoming one of England's brightest stars. So the next time he steps onto the Emirates pitch, remember, you're watching the future today. Guys, stay locked in, smash a like, share and subscribe to the channel, and make sure you hit the notification bell to find out some more deep dives into young players.